Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the weekly kickoff. Right, we've got a bunch of central banks. We've got three central bank meetings this week. We've got a bunch of inflation numbers coming out as well. Uh, if you look through the calendar, and I'm just sort of running through trading economics, really, you're going to see Tuesday. Everything really kicks off on Tuesday. You've got UK employment numbers, some ZEW numbers out of the Eurozone, inflation numbers out of Canada, retail sales figures and industrial production numbers out of the US. So really good day for sterling and dollar CAD in particular, right? Starting on Tuesday, because when it gets into the central bank meetings, it's going to get a little bit convoluted. But we do have a bunch of continuing connecting major economic numbers out of the UK, right? Employment. Then you get into Wednesday, you've got inflation numbers. We've also got the Bank of Canada on Wednesday and a 0.25% cut factored into the market. Then you come back down into further on Wednesday, you've got the Fed, okay, a 0.25% cut factored into the market. Then Thursday, Kiwi GDP, Aussie employment numbers. You got the Bank of England, no change of rates expected, but the vote count will be interesting there. And then we roll into Friday, and you've got a bunch of other connecting numbers, right? You got the Japanese inflation numbers along with the Bank of Japan. No change of rates expected there. UK retail sales and retail sales out of Canada. So you can see dollar CAD or the CAD and sterling crosses, as well as the major pairs, will be in play big time, right? Bank of Canada, you've got the Bank of England, right? Interest rate decisions. You've got a bunch of key connecting numbers there as well. And what I'm talking about is inflation numbers. So you've got these, it's quite interesting, right? Because we've got these inflation numbers out of Canada and the UK before their major numbers. And we've got UK employment numbers. So we're going to have a continuous roll of some really high impacting numbers. Not as crazy volatility wise as say the US numbers at the moment, but they are going to provide us with a lot of opportunities, right? You're going to be going through your charts, not only looking at the majors, but say Tuesday, sterling crosses, CAD crosses, right? And let's start to sort of pull some money out of the market as we go through this. The good thing is we've got a little bit of US numbers here on Tuesday, retail sales to really connect the dots with sterling and Canada, right? So the I think got really good shape. You've got Christine Lagarde speaking on a few occasions. The RBA Jones also speaking, but the week does belong. Sorry, to the British pound, the Canadian dollar, central bank meetings, inflation numbers. It all looks pretty good. Now, just coming back quickly to the charts. Well, actually, let's have a quick look at the news. A little bit of a distraction with the Charlie Kirk shooting, right? Disappointing, obviously, for supporters. It's just an ongoing thing. We've seen it for forever. The shootings in the US, it's not a great thing. So that's sort of taking up a fair bit of airspace. You come into where was I looking at the charts? You've got just following the trail of data. There's not a lot just happening just at the moment, and you'd expect that to sort of maintain as we go through. Just as the markets start for the week, right? We do have some numbers coming out today. If you want to have a bit of a look, once again, let's just focus on like the start of the week when you've got some big numbers coming out. Wednesday, Thursday, central bank meetings and these things, that's where the sort of trends can sort of evolve from, right? What the central banks tell us. So in the meantime, just keep an eye on the live signals, right? Because what we want to do is look at opportunities. If there's numbers coming out in like 8 to 12 hours, we're still going to have opportunities to get into a lot of these pairs, right? And a lot of the major currency pairs, this is the best part about it, are lining up really well, right? Dollar CAD down, dollar Swiss down. You've got Aussie, Euro, Sterling, Kiwi all going up as well. We're just waiting for the signals to line up, right? That's all it is. Because actually, this is what I was going to tell you about. The just looking at last week, right? There's a couple of things going on. You can see very clearly the Aussie has woken up, as has the Kiwi. The Kiwi will go with the Aussie, and it looks set for higher levels. We just need that weaker US numbers. It might be the US retail sales figures. Now, when it comes to sterling, it makes sense that it's stalled and hasn't really taken off yet because we've got the Bank of England employment numbers, inflation numbers, retail sales numbers, all there as well. Dollar CAD also drifting sideways. So these two pairs, sterling and CAD, drifting sideways, waiting for the numbers. And, euro, well, it correlates very much, very highly with sterling. So no surprise there as well, right? Aussie and Kiwi topside looks pretty good. Overall, the dollar is still going down, but the market just isn't convinced yet to really pile in, right? Let's just see. Ideally, we want strong numbers out of the UK and Canada or some neutral. We're not going to get hawkish sentiment out of the central banks, but something positive to offset that dollar weakness, and then we start to see the trends, and that's what I'm looking for. So I'm pretty confident in the Aussie and Kiwi at this stage against the dollar. It just looks good, right? It looks really good. So just keep a track of your the sentiment on your daily charts, and let the market come to us, right? Sterling is not necessarily a sitting duck, but we have some really great trend lines to be working with here, right? So you may be thinking, yeah, there's not much happening at the moment, but it's going to kick off pretty quick. Tuesday, it starts with the UK employment numbers. So let's just see how that goes. And that, if we get positive sentiment out of the UK, that's going to flow into the Aussie and the Kiwi as well, right? So plenty to play for this week. Lots of opportunities. And for those traders looking to get a bit of knowledge, I'm just going to go into one of the most important aspects of your trading. It's when you first start, right? How to build capital. This is a very small component of what I'll be covering in the live workshop on the Gold Coast in about a month's time. So it's probably good for most traders because when the markets stall, you need to adjust your perspective, right? Stop thinking about the big trend and you know what? Just come in, get your hands dirty, whether you're looking at 20, 30 points. Let's get the trades on, let the market move. And if it stalls, let's just pocket the cash, right? Reach into the market and take the cash out. That's what we're going to be really focusing on. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. There's, usual Monday, markets are reconnecting. There's no major news except, the Friday news end of last week's news. You come in and you start looking around the central banks and other sort of major areas. There's a bit happening, right? You got the US-China talks. That's going to be interesting to see how things go. You had UK house prices fall while rents rise by least in 4 years, right? So we've got some interesting things happening, right? The US economy's about 6 months in front of everyone else. It's going to be interesting to see what the Bank of England has to say about interest rates and the economy and a whole range of other things, right? I'll keep you in touch as we go through the week and we'll see how it plays out. All right, guys, have a good one. All the best. Cheerio.